Have you ever heard of bullet journaling and wondered what it is? Have you ever wanted to learn the basics of bullet journaling and just needed a little bit of help to understand exactly what it was? In today's video, we're going to get into an overview and the history of bullet journaling. Hi everybody, I'm Gustafson. I own and operate two assisted living facilities, and I created this channel to help people just like you learn the ins and outs of investing in assisted living. Welcome to Assisted Living Investing. In our last video, we talked about how I stay organized as a small business owner. Go ahead and watch that video and learn a little bit about my process of how I stay organized, the tools that I use. Today, we're going to get into what is bullet journaling. You probably have heard about it, and certainly if you watched my last video, I talked a little bit about it. I'm going to get into some of the basics of it today. So number one, who invented bullet journaling? His name is Ryder. He literally wrote the book on bullet journaling. It's called The Bullet Journal Method. You can see there. That's what it looks like. I will link that down below so that you can go and find that on Amazon and purchase it. Go ahead and do your own research and things like that. But it's a great read. He actually does a really good job of kind of telling the story behind it. It's not dry at all. I highly recommend reading the book. A little bit of background on Ryder. He suffered from ADD, and the bullet journal method is something that just helped him find a way to organize his thoughts and helped him to be productive on the tasks and the different things that he had to get done dealing with his ADD. After all of his friends and his family saw how productive this method allowed him to be, especially given his ADD, they wanted to try it out for themselves, and they also encouraged him to start sharing this method with the world. And hence the book was written. And if you get on YouTube, if you get on, just do an internet search, you get on Pinterest, you will find thousands of different iterations of bullet journaling. There's a lot out there, but Ryder is the inventor of bullet journaling, and I don't know him, but he did a great job. And really, the last several years, I've implemented bullet journaling, and it has had a huge positive impact in my life. And so I would highly suggest that you look at it as well as an option for you as you work on trying to improve and stay organized in your life. Next, how does it work? The great thing about bullet journaling is it is extremely flexible. Basically, if you have a notebook, and the preferred type of notebook is what is called a dotted notebook, which is a notebook that has dots in it that kind of create a blank grid rather than using lines or being on just a blank page. I'll link something down below so you can get a feel for exactly what it looks like. But basically, if you have that notebook and a pen, you're ready to go. That's all you need. Those dots in that dotted notebook they help you do things like keeping things looking neat and organized, and still having it look kind of plain and looking like it's a clean notebook without lines in there and things like that. You don't have to have that dotted notebook, though. You can use any notebook that you have lying around just to get started. So if you don't have the 10, 20 bucks to buy a nice new bullet journal, grab a notebook, go down to Walmart and buy a brand new 30-cent notebook or whatever. Go to the dollar store, just get something. Doesn't need to be fancy. You just need something to work through and kind of plan things out in a notebook. Once you have a notebook, then you just start kind of writing things down. And there are a bunch of symbols that Ryder has created that allow you to kind of go through and start doing tasks and events and different things like that. You can use whatever symbols that you want to do, whatever makes sense for you in your brain. You can do whatever you want. Nobody's going to be sitting there watching over your shoulder and saying, no, you got to do a dot there. That's incorrect. This is up to you and what makes sense in your mind. So you just want to find a system that works for you. I'm going to go over an overview of some of those symbols, though, that Ryder suggests in his book, The Bullet Journaling Method, just so you can kind of get a feel for what types of symbols he suggests you use, what ones he uses, and the ones that I also use, and just kind of get an overview of what it is. So the first symbol is a dash. A dash signifies a note. So if let's say you're listening to a talk or a podcast, or you're listening to a book or reading a book or something like that, and you have a thought, and you want to grab that note, you want to make sure you are taking note of that information, you would grab your bullet journal, you put a dash, and then you would indicate that note, and then you would just write your note. I really liked how this person talked about this. It was really insightful. I think I need to act on it by doing XYZ. Whatever your note needs to be, that's how you use that in the bullet journal. Next is the circle. So a circle is just a small circle, kind of like a bullet point, but hollowed out, just a little circle there, and it signifies an event. If you are talking to your friend on the phone, or you set up a lunch appointment, or just have a meeting or something like that, what you would do is just draw a circle, and then after that you would write name of the event. So circle, lunch with dad, and you would put it in there. For me, I personally like to do my circle, and then I will write the time of the event. So circle 12 o'clock, lunch with dad, and that lets me know, yep, this is what I have, this is the time that it's at. For me, it works well. You can do whatever you want. You could put in the day of the week, you could put in the day of the month, you can put the time, whatever you want to do. You can kind of be flexible there, or if you just don't want to put a time in it at all, then you can do that too. That works. Next is the bullet. Now, the bullet is obviously what the method gets its name from, but a bullet is basically, just a bullet right there, just like a bullet point that you would see when you're working in Word, or a word processing document or something like that. It's just a dot that works there, and it signifies a task. This is the thing that you need to get done. So when you're looking at your bullet journal and you see all these dots in there, those are all the things that you need to get done. Next is the X. So an X, what these ones actually, you do the next three, including this one, the X, you take your bullet point that you did for your task, and you're going to give it a marker that signifies what happened with that task. So the first one is an X. An X signifies that task has been complete. So after you have completed one of your tasks, you go to that bullet, and you put an X through it, and turn that bullet now into an X. And after you've X'd out that task, it is now complete, and you can move on from it. The next symbol is what he calls migration. So migration signifies that you are migrating your task into the future, to work on it again at some point. The migration symbol is the exact same symbol as a greater than symbol that you used when you were doing math. So that's what it looks like, just that little alligator mouth. What it means is you can't get that task done right now, and so you need to move it on to the next day or at some point in the future. So you use that migration symbol to signify to your brain that I'm going to work on this again in the future, and then you will physically write that task onto the day that you're going to work on it in the future, so that you can work on it there, and it would be, boom, a bullet again. Now, once you've migrated that task, you just need to make sure you are properly migrating it to the future day so that you can actually get it done. If you don't do that, you just put the little marker in there to migrate it, and you don't actually migrate it, you're not going to get it done. The way that the bullet journaling method is designed is, once your day is done, you've either X'd it out, or you've created an action on any of those tasks, and moved it appropriately or crossed it off, and then you move on to the next day. And if you are forgetting to do those things, then things are going to fall off your plate. So you want to make sure that you are actually migrating those tasks. The next symbol is the schedule. The schedule signifies that you still want to work on a task, but you just need to move it back to something like a master task list. In the book, Ryder calls it the future log, and you just want to put it back there so you can maintain it and keep your eye on it, but you're not going to be able to get to work on it for another month or 3 weeks or whatever, and so you move it back to that future log, to that master task list, and the schedule symbol is what allows you to do that. The schedule symbol is the same as the less than symbol that you used in math. Now, when something is important, but it's just not going to be able to work on it right now, that's when you use that schedule symbol. And again, when you use that schedule symbol, you want to make sure you actually move it back to the future log, to that master task list, so that it exists there, and then you can revisit it and then work on it in the future when you have time. So you just want to make sure that if you're using symbols, using the symbols that I'm outlining for you right here or any other ones, that you're actually doing the thing that you say it is, so you can stay on top of things. And the last symbol, I'll call it a symbol, though it's not truly a symbol, is just the cross through. What that means is you've determined that you're just not going to do the task anymore. It's not that you're going to move it on to the future. You're not going to move it back to that future log. You're just not going to do it anymore, and you just strike it through. And that signifies it's done. It's not done. You're just not going to work on it anymore. You simply put a line through the task indicating that you didn't get it done and you're just not going to work on it anymore. And it's a project, a task that it's just not going to happen, or an event that just didn't happen. When you have that task written down and it's no longer relevant, that's when you'd put that cross through line in there to indicate that you're just not going to work on it anymore. Now, these symbols, they make it easy to go back and review what you wrote down in your bullet journal and help you distinguish between things quickly and at a glance. Was this a task? Was it an event? Did I get it done? Did I migrate it? And very easily go back in and say, yep, that's what I did, and I worked on it there. But remember, there really are no real rules for bullet journaling. So you can use different symbols, things that are more meaningful to you. You could use a star, you could use a check mark, whatever is going to work for you to implement things. And you can add ones to the ones that I've reviewed for you here. But these are just kind of the basic ones that he goes through in the bullet journaling method book. So just make sure you do that. If that outline was helpful to you, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you let other people know that this was helpful to you, so they can also get an overview of what bullet journaling is. A few other key concepts that I wanted to review in this video is really there's 3 different concepts that kind of alluded to them as I was going through this initially, but there's a lot more to it, but these are the 3 that I think are crucial for you to understand about bullet journaling. And there are more in the book, so if you go in and read that, you'll be able to get a lot more information. But having done this now for several years, these are the 3 that I have found to be extremely useful. Number 1 is the future log. So the future log is essentially a master task list. If you have something that you need to remember for the future, you would put it in that future log. And then as you migrate the task to your monthly or your daily logs, you would then remove it from the future log using one of those symbols that I just talked about. The monthly log. So the monthly log is intended to give you a quick overview of the current month that you're in. Oftentimes, if you're looking on these, what people have done online, you're going to see a list of the days of the month, like the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, etc. And then you would list out any big calendar events happening on those days. So for that, you're thinking birthdays or conferences or parties, big things that are happening on those days, big events. And then you also have what kind of amounts as a master task list for the month. So basically that future log, but kind of a monthly one that is your master task list for the things that you want to do in that month. And the last one is the daily log. And so this is the one where just on a daily basis, you're going in and you're saying these are the 3 events that I have. These are the meetings that I have. These are the 5 tasks that I want to get done. These are the notes that I had on that day. And you're putting that in there, and it goes essentially you would have a page that's dedicated to your daily log, and this is the information that has happened on that day. You can also take notes there in that daily log to help you keep track of when you had a conversation with somebody, what you learned at the meeting, or whatever it is, and you can kind of organize it that way. So when you go back and you're looking at your notes, and you're like, oh yeah, I was talking to Jim about that. That's where I had that thought, or I was in this meeting, and that's where that thought came from. That's kind of how you can use the daily log there. Now, as you can see, I went through this system, and this is a 15-20 minute video, but that's really the entire system. It doesn't take a lot for you to implement things. It's really not that complex. It's very flexible, lets you meet your needs. All you have to do is buy yourself a notebook, and again, I've linked that down below, and just give it a shot and see if it works for you. In our next video, we're going to get into how you can use bullet journaling to be an effective small business owner. That's why you're here, right? You're either an assisted living facility owner or operator, or you're a small business owner that just found this video and you're wondering, how can I implement this? I'm going to get into that in the next video. So make sure you watch that, bullet journaling for the small business owner, and how you can improve your productivity using the bullet journaling method. And to learn more about investing in assisted living, just make sure you visit me on assistedlivinginvesting.net. I've got other content up there, a blog. You can set up consulting calls with me, and we can have a chat about how I can help you in your process. And then follow me on my other social media platforms. And remember, it doesn't take a lot, just a little bit. Keep making progress step by step by step. If you are consistent in making your progress, I promise you that you will be successful. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.